Now, when I tell you our reports are unlike any others that you'll find on local news in Oregon 5 nights a week, maybe in the country now that I think about it, I'm not kidding. No one is spending the kind of time we are unpacking stories that affect all of our lives. You, me, the community, everyone. Take that petty crime of shoplifting. Last night, our Kyle Abosha revealed that when it comes to misdemeanor theft in Washington County, they prosecute 93%. And in Clackamas County, they prosecute 84% of the cases that police bring to them. And in Multnomah County, they prosecute just 46%. Why is that number so low? Well, District Attorney Mike Schmidt told Kyle that his office will only prosecute the cases they're confident that they can win, which seemed like a really reasonable explanation to me, until I started asking around. You know what? That is the exact same standard all district attorneys have, including Washington County's Kevin Barton, who saw our story on those different rates of prosecution.
I didn't realize there was such a difference until I saw your story, in fact. And so that's really just what we've always done out in Washington County. It's our approach really for all crimes. We take a look at the evidence that's available to us. And like any prosecutor's office anywhere in the nation, we review the evidence. And if there's sufficient evidence to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt, we'll move forward on that case. That's always been our approach with every level of crime, all the way from misdemeanor theft up to murder.
Huh. So if everyone is using the same standard to decide whether to prosecute a crime, is there something else going on? Multnomah County's district attorney said the cases that get dismissed from his office don't have enough evidence, things like video and reports from loss prevention folks. Some viewers like Bob are not buying that.
Tell that district attorney to prosecute. Failure to do so makes me embarrassed to live in Multnomah County.
All right, Bob. Many of you were struck by the difference in prosecution rates as well among the 3 counties. And many of you are like Shelley, who wondered why.
I live in Multnomah County. Anyway, I'm trying to understand why so many more are prosecuted in the other counties. If the people are reporting them a lot more, and if so, why? There must be a...
Well, Martha wondered that same question, asking, my question is how Clackamas and Washington counties are able to bring so many more cases to trial than Multnomah. Are they better at gathering the evidence? Do they have better police force and more people who are willing to press charges? I get that Schmidt doesn't want to press a case he can't win, but this is nuts. Well, Martha and Shelley and everyone else who asked that question, I hear you. That's why I passed along your questions to the district attorneys of Clackamas and Washington counties. Remember, their offices prosecute far more of these petty crime cases like shoplifting than Multnomah County does. So why is that? Well, let's start with Clackamas County's DA, John Wentworth.
While I know some folks delineate between low level and high level, we don't take that into consideration. So much of what makes a community safe is ensuring that when even misdemeanor crimes are committed, that we make sure that those matter. If there is a movement or a thought of having misdemeanors not prosecutable or not investigated by the police, that impacts livability for everyone and sends the message that even the commission of higher crimes is going to be accepted. And we don't do that in Clackamas County.
In Clackamas County, DA Wentworth's office prosecutes, remember, 84% of the petty theft cases or misdemeanor crimes that are brought to them by police. Now, when I asked the DA in Washington County, where 93% of those crimes are prosecuted, he suggested there might be a difference in philosophy.
Well, I can't speak for what's wrong in Multnomah County, and clearly something is wrong there. What I can say is we all apply the same laws. The same criminal laws apply everywhere in Oregon. The same rules of evidence in court apply everywhere in Oregon. And what you have sometimes is a difference in philosophy with the leaders in various communities. And I can only speak for my community, and I can say that the police chiefs, the sheriff, and myself, we all prioritize accountability. We also prioritize making sure that we enforce what I call quality of life crimes. If you are a business owner and you're a victim of shoplifting, that's a significant issue that you're dealing with. If you are a regular person on the street and your catalytic converter has been stolen or your car has been broken into, that's a significant issue to you.
It is significant to a lot of you viewers as well. It's gotten to the point where folks like Patrick, he's a viewer from the Columbia River Gorge, his wife was trapped in Nordstrom during a smash and grab. Well, people like him are now brainstorming ways that stores can protect themselves and their customers.
I just think if some of the small business owners did it where the person came in and then you lock the door. They don't get out until you let them out. They can't do a smash and grab. The big stores, that's probably impossible, although they could still. Nordstrom has guys standing at some of the doors. Why don't they let you in, but you got to be let out? It seems like a fix to me, and, we got to get these guys. This is horrible. Portland now has a whole culture of shoplifters.
And by the way, word is out that Clackamas and Washington counties are bad places to commit shoplifting and other low-level crimes because the cops in the DA's office, they come after you. Kyla Boshi's story last night had two remarkable moments where suspects caught for minor crimes were reacting to the fact that they were not in Multnomah County. Check this out.
This is an actual recording of a phone call between a woman being held in the Washington County jail on theft charges and her boyfriend.
You are cited or what?
Well, I mean, if it was in Multnomah County, like, you would have got released already. It's up.
I know. It's because it's Washington County.
And when this suspect, arrested on theft charges, realized he was in neighboring Clackamas County.
Where are we going?
Clackamas County Jail. You ever been there?
What?
You ever been to Clackamas County Jail?
No.
Well,
man, where's the line
there
for Clackamas? Oh, man.
I know, he screwed up.
I asked both district attorneys about those clips. Actually, they're kind of proud that the suspects and other criminals know it's best to stay out of their counties.
Of course, I have a certain amount of pride in knowing that among those who would otherwise decide to come into Clackamas County and commit crime, that they know that they're not welcome and that we are going to hold them accountable and that we're going to pursue the case as vigorously as we can. And so I hope that provides some assurance and some comfort to the people who live, work, and play in Clackamas County, that at least people who would otherwise come to harm them in some way, including steal their belongings, steal their property, that those folks just aren't welcome and that behavior won't be tolerated.
I also asked the DAs about giving people a break because many involved in these petty thefts are likely doing it to feed drug habits, or maybe they're struggling with mental health issues. Here's Kevin Barton from Washington County.
When people make the voluntary decision to commit a crime, to engage in a criminal act, they should be held accountable for that. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't take into account other factors that may be present. And oftentimes these days, addiction and mental health issues are clearly present. And so we have an abundance of specialty and treatment courts in Washington County that really make a huge effort to try and address the root cause of crime. But at the end of the day, if someone makes the decision to go out and commit a crime, whether they're doing it because they are greedy, or they're doing it because they're feeding a drug habit, or they're doing it for some other reason, we believe that accountability is a key factor, and that starts with prosecuting them for the crime they've chosen to commit.
Now, to be fair, a few emails did come in that were supportive of the Multnomah County District Attorney. They wanted to know what the conviction rate is on all three counties. The thought being, well, if Multnomah County is being more picky on the cases they take, maybe they're getting a bunch more convictions than the other guys. Well, I asked all three DA's offices for that information, and Washington County was the only one that got back to me. They just sent their numbers in within the last hour, and they report that they get convictions in 92% of their theft cases. Multnomah and Clackamas County have still not shared their numbers yet. Although I might point out that the criminals seem to be telling us who's most effective at prosecuting them by the places they're staying away from. And we did get one voicemail from a viewer named Joe who supports the Multnomah County DA's low prosecution numbers for these low-level crimes.
I personally believe that being more aggressive on prosecuting is really not going to help the community, because obviously when somebody has a criminal record, they can't get a house, can't get a job. I personally believe what they should be doing is prosecuting, and then after they serve their sentence, they shouldn't have to deal with that charge on the record anymore, because obviously, like what I said before, I personally believe what the DA in Multnomah County is doing is the right thing. I personally believe it's on the retailers to prevent theft.
All right, and finally, here's my opinion on all this. When Mike Schmidt was elected district attorney in Multnomah County, he had a ton of support. Lots of voters cast ballots for him, including me. He arrived at the office with a progressive vision of reforming law and order in Multnomah County. His campaign material pointed out that 2/3 of the cases prosecuted by the office are misdemeanors, and that he would change the focus to violent crimes and look for ways to handle low-level cases through alternative avenues. And now we see how that's playing out. He's only prosecuting 46% of the low-level cases like shoplifting that are brought to him by police. And shoplifting is everywhere. The crooks prefer Multnomah County to the other two. And let's remember what we're talking about here. We're not talking about all of the shoplifting cases that happen in Multnomah County and only prosecuting 46% of that. No, we're talking about all the cases that police think are good cases that they can take to the district attorney's office. Of those cases, only 46% are being prosecuted. In my opinion, it's time to end this experiment of ignoring those low-level cases. They are not going away. They seem to be flourishing. Washington and Clackamas County, those DAs know how to go after those crimes. Perhaps Mike Schmidt should ask them for advice, because the path he's on right now is not leading our county to a safer or a better future. Well, that's my opinion anyway. You don't have to agree with me, but you do have to communicate. Am I full of it? I could be. Or am I right on? I hope I am. Send me an email. The address is thestory@kgw.com, or call and leave a voicemail, 503-226-5090. I look forward to hearing from you.